He had some comments.
Hey, folks, thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. You just saw us bring you the live events that unfolded in court today when the county attorney dropped the charges against golfer Scottie Scheffler after an incident that happened outside the Valhalla Golf Club during the PGA Championship. And this is a story that we've been following every second of the way. So, again, charges have been dropped against Scottie Scheffler and Steve Romines. His attorney is expected to speak to the media after what happened today. He has maintained that Scheffler did nothing wrong. Scheffler has said that it was all a big misunderstanding that day when he was trying to get in for his tee time during the PGA Championship. Today in court, just want to tell you what unfolded. Here briefly, it didn't take very long. First, the county attorney, Mike O'Connell, came in and addressed the court and said that this was important case to the community, and this was his decision as county attorney. That, you know, we faced a major tragedy with what happened that day. When PGA vendor, John Mills was hit and killed by a shuttle bus, that we lost somebody who was very well loved and respected here in our community. Scheffler was not involved in that accident, but what happened after that he was involved in. So, what happened basically was that the detective was coming into the scene. It was kind of, a chaotic situation with a fatal investigation going on, and several police officers were there. Detective Brian Gillis, was working the scene, trying to help the other officers there. Scheffler did not know that it was being investigated as a fatal accident. He says that he was just following cues from another officer who told him, go ahead, proceed, go on. And he was just trying to get to his tee time that day. And let's see, where are my notes? Okay. In the Mike O'Connell also said, with the Kentucky rules of professional conduct, as a prosecutor, it's his job to look at the evidence, hear witness statements, and determine if something needs to be pursued or not further. In this case, he felt that it did not need to be pursued. So that's why he chose to drop the charges today. Scottie Scheffler had maintained that this was a big misunderstanding. He was arrested, taken to Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. He spent a little bit of time there, not very long, and then was released on his own recognizance. And then went back to Valhalla to play golf. So we are just waiting for his attorney to speak with us today and give us a statement. Steve Romines said in his career he has realized that when you're winning, don't talk. So he did not say anything today when they asked for those charges to be dropped. There were several charges, including felony assault of a police officer. Detective Gillis had said originally that he was dragged and suffered some minor injuries after that incident. But I think what a lot of folks was the concern that the detective did not turn on his body cam that day. And if that body camera had been on, we would have cleared up a lot of what happened that day. But because it was not on, we don't know exactly what transpired. And the views that we did get of what was unfolding in that day, sorry, I'm trying to read the comments on our stream as I'm trying to wait for this press conference to start. Because of the pole view and the dash cam view that we received from police, it doesn't really show us the incident that happened. It was kind of the aftermath, and it was really hard to see. So that's why there's been so much controversy. There's been a lot of heat on the city about how they handled the situation. So just waiting for this press conference to start with Scottie Scheffler's attorney, Steve Romines, to address the media.
The next 13 minutes or so, we are going to hear from a news conference with Scottie Scheffler's attorney and get the latest updates on what happened in this hearing today. We'll be here live on the ground watching this. Nicole.
And yes, sorry, having to ad lib a little bit, waiting for this press conference to start, and I'm monitoring several screens. John Douglas, I am just multitasking here, so I'm by myself in the studio here, trying to get you the coverage that you want to see, along with others. So forgive me if I'm a little scatterbrained, trying to monitoring several things on my own. So just multitasking here, John, trying to get you some coverage here on the Scottie Scheffler case. And thank you, Dee Dee, for having my back on that. Yes, talking on the fly. It's always nothing in here in the studio is in my control, just waiting for things to start. And if you're just joining us, we are waiting for Steve Romines, Scottie Scheffler's attorney, to come out and speak to the media. He did not say very much in court today. Agreed with the county attorney that the dropping the charges was a good idea. So we're seeing if he's going to address the media outside. We brought you what unfolded in court today live here online and on TV as the county attorney, Michael Connell, asked for the charges to be dropped against Scottie Scheffler after that incident that happened outside of Valhalla Golf Club as Scheffler was trying to get in for his tee time during the PGA Championship. Before the incident that happened, unfortunately, a PGA vendor, John Mills, was tragically hit and killed by a shuttle bus. That caused a massive investigation to kind of happen out there outside of Valhalla to figure out what had happened. So there was a little bit of confusion, according to Scheffler, that he thought that he didn't know that there was a fatal accident there. He did not know that police were investigating that. He was trying to get in for his tee time. And that's when he ran into Detective Brian Gillis with LMPD, and they had some sort of incident there before. We never really saw exactly what transpired because Detective Gillis did not have his police issued body camera turned on at the time, and the city did address that. If that was turned on, we would have had a better understanding of what happened that day. and why police arrested Scottie Scheffler. There was a lot of pressure from people in the community here locally and all around the world, demanding that the charges be dropped. So that's what happened today
Just
in
a mic
court.
check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Mic check.
Sorry, you've got several
good to go.
media
For breakfast,
agencies.
I had coffee. For lunch, I had one Uncrustable and another squished up one.
Okay. Sorry, was not expecting that. Again, we're just waiting for this to start live here, and they're doing some mic checks outside the courthouse to find out what Steve Romines is going to say. So just be patient with me, folks. I'm trying to just get us through this time period. I thought it was going to start relatively soon, but it looks like it's taking some time for Steve Romines to come down and talk to us about what happened. Scottie Scheffler has maintained from the beginning that this was all a big misunderstanding on his part, that he did not understand what was kind of happening that day and what was being said, whatnot. So just waiting for this press conference to start. Folks, if you could just be patient with me as we wait for this to begin.
Right here, does that work? Well, you might not be able to make it. I mean, if you can, great. If you can't, so good. I just want to make sure that you are. Yeah, that's fine. Nice tattoo.
Okay.
I'm not. I was taking the longer.
Oh, here he is. Let's listen in.
Everybody ready? Yeah, first of all, again, as Scottie said when this first happened, all our thoughts and condolences go out to the Mills family. On behalf of Scottie, I've actually been in contact with the family, and he wishes to express his personal condolences to them. But, as his attorney, I wasn't comfortable with him giving any statements to anyone at the time, just on the perhaps that might somehow reflect poorly on him in some way. But we really wish to extend our condolences to the Mills family, because these kind of tournaments can't go on without people like John Mills working out there, and volunteers and that type of thing. And it's just a tragic situation. We were pleased that the case was dismissed today. Obviously, was dismissed without prejudice or with prejudice, which is something that we had required. We were prepared to go forward and litigate this matter. We were also prepared to litigate the case civilly. At the time actually we were going to start beginning litigating it civilly on Monday. Whenever Scottie had to appear in court, we were going to begin the litigation regarding the civil matter. He does not wish to do that. He wants to move on, and he's obviously having a historic career.
Why doesn't he want to file a lawsuit?
Well, Andy, lawsuits are paid by the taxpayers. If he prevails in civil litigation against LMPD, who pays that? Taxpayers of Louisville. He doesn't wish the taxpayers of Louisville to pay him for whatever occurred. Also, too, litigation is a distraction for anyone. And the truly historic season he is having right now, being involved in litigation would be a distraction. And as we've learned, you all local know I was involved in Kenneth Walker's case. I was involved in David Mackey's case. Litigation doesn't change what the police do. We can sue them and continually bring in those litigations, and it doesn't change. If Scottie thought it would somehow make a positive difference, I'm sure he would be willing to do anything that would make a positive change in policing or anything else. We had lengthy discussions regarding that, as well as regarding the criminal case, and he understands it was a miscommunication. As Mr. O'Connell said, he wasn't aware that the fatality had occurred. He had been directed, as other players were, how to proceed into Valhalla. That's what he was doing. And, when this occurred, obviously tensions were high. As you can tell from the body cam audio that several of you asked me about in the police car on the way downtown, that is Scottie Scheffler. He is, as always, as nice and polite and respectful as you could possibly be. I can assure you, if I was in the back of that police car, I would not have been nearly as polite as he was. But that's who he is. And, the one thing about this possible criminal case, as I said, we were prepared to try the case and a civil case. Every case is dependent on the quality of the defendant or the plaintiff. If they are likable, they are credible, and they are honest, then you have a good case. Scottie Scheffler, you cannot find one person to say a bad word about him. When he's in a police car after being falsely arrested, he is still a perfect gentleman. I can assure you, Andy Wolfson, you would not have been. Okay? I mean, it is remarkable the restraint and character he evidenced, not only during the incident, after the incident as he's being taken downtown, and in the press conference that day. Scottie Scheffler, we need more Scottie Schefflers in the world.
How does he feel like?
Got from throughout the city. not honorable, but there were lots of people supporting him from then until now.
Well, it's obvious he didn't do anything wrong. And as I've said repeatedly, the more evidence that comes out, the more it shows that, Scottie was a victim here. And I think everybody sees something like this happen and realizes they're one wrong turn or running into the wrong person away from going to jail themselves.
Steve, I have to ask you, though, the statements that Scottie made after the arrest don't seem to fully align with what you're saying right now. He admits that he got impatient and went too far.
No, here's what happened, is he is being interrogated after the most stressful situation of his life, right? And the officer is actually asking him leading questions and trying to get him to agree with them, okay? And that's why you don't talk to the police, because they are going to try to put words in your mouth.
But
And that's exactly what they did.
But that was after he
No.
read his Miranda rights. He didn't
Of
have
course.
to speak.
He didn't have to speak. But again, he asked to talk to the officer. He wanted to explain to him what happened. However, they are trying to get him to confess to something that he didn't do. And the video evidence shows he didn't do it. That's why you don't talk to the police. They are not trying to get to what happened. They are trying to get you to incriminate yourself. And that's what they were trying to do to him. And he didn't incriminate himself. He continued to show the quality of his character by trying to diffuse the situation.
Steve, in that body camera video, he specifically says the words verbatim, "He just hit me with his flashlight." Do you believe there are grounds for a lawsuit if he so chooses?
There are absolutely grounds for a lawsuit. He doesn't want to be involved in it. Again, because who pays? The taxpayers of Louisville. Scottie Scheffler doesn't want the taxpayers of Louisville to have to pay him a dime. He wishes to move forward from this case.
Do you think the officer was dragged?
No, he was not. There are multiple eyewitnesses to the incident. The actual initial contact that I've spoken with, I have statements from, that the county spoke, the prosecutor's office have spoken with, that confirm that he was not dragged. You believe they would have dismissed this case if he was dragged? No, they would not have. That did not happen.
Did the detective tell the truth about what happened?
People make their own decisions on that.
How is Scottie doing today, Steve? I mean, since the news of this, how's he feeling?
He's happy it's over. He wants to move on. He's still the best golfer in the world, so there's a lot to be said for that. And he's glad it's over.
Speaking right after the hearing, that was him in the body cam video.
That is him speaking.
And where did that video come from? Was that leaked?
You'll have to take that up with whoever got it or LMPD, because it wasn't provided in discovery, because discovery has not been undertaken yet in the case, because it was dismissed before discovery began.
Should the detective...
frequently overcharged?
Yeah, police overcharge every day. Any of you all get arrested leaving here, you're going to be overcharged. That's what happens. Why? Because it gives them more leverage in negotiations. In this case, they didn't have any leverage because A, we had eyewitnesses, B, we had video, and C, Scottie had the resources to defend it. That changes everything. But yes, police overcharge every day to every person.
Do you believe this was an overreaction? And two, have you seen photos of any of the injuries or the officer's uniform?
What I believe isn't important. My job was to represent my client, who, again, I represent people in criminal charges all the time. And people ask me, how do you represent somebody you know is guilty? And my response always is, it's a lot harder to represent someone you know is innocent. Because that's a lot more stress.
So have you seen any photos of the injuries or the uniform?
I've seen everything there is to see in the case. Anything else?
Should the detective have received more than counseling with the body cam given the history and Louisville?
Well, should they have received counseling for the body cam, or
No, more than that?
Yeah, or the fact that a guy was falsely arrested? it's how the police discipline other officers is obviously been an issue around the country and in Louisville especially for a number of years. Will this change it? I hope, but we've had a lot of litigation, some of which I've been involved in, that hadn't really changed it to this point. Department of Justice came in, had a consent decree. I don't know that that's changed it. So, the one thing that you should take from it is every person, regardless of, if you're the best golfer in the world or just going to watch the tournament, you are one wrong turn or one encounter with a police officer going sideways, even if you do nothing wrong, and being charged with a plethora of crimes that you didn't commit. And it can happen to anybody. And it does. It happens every day.
Does Scottie want to come back to Louisville to play the tournament here?
If they have another tournament here, I'm sure if the PGA comes back, who knows when that'll be, but if it's a tournament worthy of Scottie Scheffler playing in it, I'm sure he would play it. However, we don't have any of those as it stands now, and so I don't think this has had such an effect on Scottie that he says, I'm never coming back to Louisville again. He obviously didn't want to come back for court, but nobody wants to go to court. But obviously, if there's another major championship played in Louisville, I'm sure Scottie Scheffler will play in it.
Has he messaged you anything that stands out about being glad this is over? Or
everybody who is charged with a felony offense is glad that it's over. Everybody. And so, yes, he's glad it's over.
Any message he'd like to get out?
His press conference the day this happened expressed his sentiments and his character and his condolences better than anything I can say. So I don't want to speak for Scottie Scheffler. He's much more eloquent than I am.
Would you like to see a public apology from him about this at all?
Sure. I've been doing this a long time. Public apologies are hard to come by from the police.
If you were to pursue legal action, who do you think would be named as the parties in the lawsuit?
We're not. So doesn't matter. We were prepared to go forward beginning the day of the arraignment with civil litigation where it is Scottie does not wish to do that. Again, for the reasons I've stated, he has no desire to A, be involved in litigation, and B, try to recover money from the taxpayers of Louisville. I've already addressed that. He was polite as always, and really trying to diffuse the situation.
With the agreement not to pursue civil litigation, let you make that one?
We're not, obviously, it's not Scottie's desire to pursue civil litigation. I've made that clear to the county. That was not some sort of quid pro quo regarding the criminal case. And so document-wise, there's nothing out there to release. We did make it clear that forcing him to appear in Monday was somewhat of a hard deadline of that type of litigation. But again, Mr. O'Connell was very eloquent in his comments of they do have an obligation to investigate the case. And you can't do it in 2 days. Some of the eyewitnesses, I provided them their information. Some of them they found on their own, that type of thing. But he's got an obligation to do his due diligence in the case, and he did that. And we are, obviously, we're pleased with the result.
Is Scottie buying Gillis a new pair of pants?
You can. But we are, be clear too, there were no monetary, Scottie didn't pay anyone anything for this case to go away, nor is he going to. And there was no stipulation of probable cause. We were not, that was a deal breaker in the case, is we would not stipulate probable cause for the arrest.
Do you have any communications with PGA about the incident?
No, I represent Scottie Scheffler. PGA is not my client. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That was Steve Romines, Scottie Scheffler's attorney, addressing the media. First, he started by offering his thoughts and condolences to the Mills family. John Mills is the PGA volunteer who was tragically hit and killed by that shuttle bus that morning that led to that investigation that happened there. So he offered their condolences and said that they were pleased that the case was dismissed. They were prepared to move forward, but they were hoping that they wouldn't have to, but they were prepared, according to Romines. So a lot of folks had asked about if Scottie Scheffler was going to sue the city, and Steve Romines shut that down and said, no, that's not what's going to happen. They do not want to pursue any civil litigation, that they don't want the taxpayers in Louisville to have to carry the burden of that, because if there was a lawsuit, then it would be taxpayer dollars spent on that. So again, charges against Scottie Scheffler have been dropped. We brought you the entirety of this press conference live here on Wave Now. And also we brought you the court appearance with Michael Connell also on air. So I thank you for joining us today as we were kind of standing by and waiting. Sorry for that gap in the time, but we just wanted to bring everything to you in its entirety. So we have multiple crews on this story today, and we'll continue to have more for you coming up on Wave News at 3, 4, 5, and 6, and throughout the evening. I'm Myra Ansari. I'll see you on Wave News at 3.